So we are right near mile 6 of the Green Belt Clockwise. We're just about to leave Ross Township and enter McCandless Township as we cross McKnight Road, which is US 19 for trucks, truck route 19 that is. McKnight Road, for those who don't know, is a very commercial street. Lots of restaurants, shopping centers, stores, malls along the road. We are just about to pass McIntyre Square here on the right. That's one of those shopping areas. So as we continue on the Green Belt Clockwise, let's talk some now about the reason why this spiderweb entanglement of colored belts exist in the first place. These are not necessarily a substitute for an express beltway like most cities have. After all, these colored belts use mostly secondary roads to get around them. But then Pittsburgh does not exactly have an express beltway. Now it would be nice if Pittsburgh someday does get an express belt. And so far we do have a bypass around the western part of the city, that's I-79. And to the north there's the PA Turnpike I-76. A southern beltway is still in the construction stages and also in the planning stages in another part. And an eastern bypass of the city, well, that's only in the planning stages being talked about right now. Anyway, maybe we can discuss later on how the Turnpike and I-79 might fit into the grand scheme of a bypass around the city and what their shortcomings are. But the important point to stress is that building a large circle of an expressway around Pittsburgh would not be the easiest thing to do because of our unique topography. Now, of course, there is Interstate 275, known as the Cincinnati Beltway or the Cincinnati Bypass. And I bring that up because Cincinnati is the city that's most similar to Pittsburgh topographically. I mean, we share the same river, the Ohio River. Both of us have a lot of hills and valleys. But still, Cincinnati, well, its beltway is very long. Over 83 miles long, and it goes through 3 different states. But even Cincinnati is not as hard to build as Pittsburgh can be. The problem here, of course, in the Pittsburgh area is that we are made up of a bunch of hills, ridges, and valleys. And one thing you can be certain of is that every valley leads downhill to another valley. After all, water has to flow downhill, so every valley has to lead downhill to another valley, and eventually each and every one of these valleys is going to lead to a river valley, and of course the river valley will lead to downtown Pittsburgh. But that's the point, these valleys don't lead around the city. And of course every valley, well, it twists and turns a lot on its own. So there's hardly any way to build a straight line from one place to the other. That reminds me of the old joke about Pennsylvania roads, that the shortest distance between 2 points in Pennsylvania is under construction, or at least in the planning stages. So what this colorful entanglement of spiderweb belt system does is that at least it allows for secondary roads that will loop you around the city. And of course an express beltway like I-695, the Baltimore Beltway, or I-495, the Capital Beltway. What these express beltways are very convenient for is to travel as far as halfway around a metropolitan area. As a matter of fact, at the Capital Beltway, the 2-digit parent highway, I-95, actually uses the eastern half of the Capital Beltway rather than go through the city of Washington, D.C. And it shares the eastern half of the Beltway with I-495, which makes a complete circle. Now, of course, these colored belts here in Pittsburgh using secondary roads would hardly be convenient for going halfway around. But they can be very convenient for finding your way around, and perhaps going as far as 1/5 or even 1/4, or as much as 1/3 of the way around the area. Anyway, I think I've talked enough for now, so I'm gonna shut up. and we could try the radio again.
Degrees. Thursday cooling down to 86. Friday cooling down to 79. Right now, it is 91 degrees.
At Dell, we know running a small business takes hard work. As a thank you, during the Dell annual sale, we're offering up to 40% off select PCs with Intel Core processors and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL. Special financing available to qualified business customers and using Dell Business Credit. Go to Dell.com/DBC promos for details.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspot. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's Hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2 at a minimum, and make that pizzas will be extra with limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's.com. The only way you can take KDKA radio with you is at radio.com. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere. KDKA MNAC, KDKA MNAC2 Pittsburgh, radio.com station. News Radio 1020 KDKA, it is the afternoon news. John McIntyre and for Robert Mangino. This from Politico.com. President Donald Trump on Monday attacked his Justice Department for indicting 2 Republican congressmen ahead of this fall's midterm elections, admonishing Attorney General Jeff Sessions for potentially robbing the GOP of 2 easy wins in November. Quote, quoting the president now, 2 long-running Obama-era investigations of 2 very popular Republican congressmen were brought to a well-publicized charge just ahead of the midterms by the Jeff Sessions Justice Department, the president wrote on Twitter. Quote, 2 easy wins now in doubt because there is not enough time. Good job, Jeff. Representative Chris Collins of New York and Representative Duncan Hunter of California, the first 2 lawmakers to endorse the president's 2016 bid for the White House, were indicted last month. Sarah Eisinger Flores, a spokesman for the Department of Justice, declined to comment on the president.
Well, the signal on KDKA AM radio out here is still very scratchy, so what the heck, let's just get back to talking some more. We are still on Duncan Road here, or Duncan Avenue it may be, and we are approaching what I would call the heart of Allison Park, although we are still in Hampton Township, since Allison Park is not really a municipality, but just a census-designated place within other municipalities. Just up ahead is Pennsylvania State Route 8, also known as the William Flynn Highway. And at this point, I want to suggest my own idea about how the Green Belt should be reconfigured partially. The official Green Belt turns left here onto William Flynn Highway outbound and continues about 0.8 of a mile northbound on Pennsylvania State 8 until it makes a right turn on Harts Run Road. Now, a right turn on William Flynn Highway would put us on Pennsylvania State Route 8 southbound or inbound and would take us to Pennsylvania State 28, which in turn would take us to downtown Pittsburgh. But in addition to that, turning right onto Pennsylvania 8 would provide a much shorter route to get to Highland Park and the Pittsburgh Zoo, which is where the Green Belt is ultimately going to take us. The distance from here with the right turn to the zoo is probably less than 7 miles. But by continuing on the Green Belt, it will be longer to get to the zoo, but we'll find out later on just how much further the distance is. And now on a somewhat unrelated issue, I just wanted to mention quickly that the Pennsylvania Turnpike intersection with Route 8 is a little over 3 miles north of us here. And now that we're out here further, maybe we should try the radio one more time.
For Democratic Congressman Connor Lamb. On the south side, Melinda Roeder, News Radio 1020 KDKA.
Biden did march for the 3rd time at Pittsburgh's annual Labor Day parade, generally regarded one of the oldest and one of the largest. More than 70,000 marched or looked on. In addition to Biden, the parade featured U.S. Senator Bob Casey, Congressman Mike Doyle, Connor Lamb, Mayor Bill Peduto, and County Executive Rich Fitzgerald. President Trump used Labor Day to fire off a tweet blasting one of the nation's top labor leaders. As we hear from the AP's Ben Thomas. Unfortunately, today, the things that he's done to hurt workers outpace what he's done to help workers.
That's AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka assessing President Trump's job performance on Fox News Sunday. On Twitter, Trump responded with his assessment of Trumka's TV performance, calling it poor, and accusing the union leader of saying things against working men and women and the success of the U.S. itself. He went on to tout his aggressive trade stance. Low wages, rising gas prices, and a tax law that he says encourages outsourcing among the issues plaguing workers.
So overall, workers aren't doing as well.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
The Allegheny County Jail remains on lockdown this afternoon. 11 jail employees, including 9 guards, became sick last night. An unknown odor or substance. All were treated at the hospital and then released. Now, this is the same symptoms that forced the lockdown of the entire Pennsylvania prison system last week. State Corrections Secretary John Wetzel believed a synthetic form of marijuana is to blame.
Certainly it seems like this is more of a western Pennsylvania phenomenon, and that's consistent with Ohio, right? The furthest east facility we've had one of these exposures is Benner Township in Center County.
Now, the exact cause of the county jail illness is not known. No prisoners were sickened. A man facing DUI and other charges after fleeing from police who tried to pull him over on I-279 overnight. State police say an officer tried to get 40-year-old David Billisick of Wexford to pull over around 3:50 a.m. This was near the Perrysville exit. Instead, they say Billisick got back on the highway and his pickup went off the road just before the East Street exit. Billisick and a woman got out and ran. Police caught him with help of a canine. Police were searching for the woman. No trading on Wall Street for the holiday. They will resume tomorrow on Wall Street. In sports, Pirates lead the Reds 5-1. They're in the 8th. And Le'Veon Bell remains a no-show for the Steelers. Jeff Hathorne has all the sports coming up at 4:16. 4:03 on
Gotta say that the radio there at the end was coming in a little bit better, but nevertheless, I wanted to quiet the radio so I could discuss a little bit more about the road, since we are approaching Hartwood Acres Park. Now, right now we are still in Hampton Township, and right up ahead is the intersection with Middle Road, and a left turn on the Middle Road would take us to the west entrance to Hartwood Acres Park, the Hampton Township entrance. And this, by the way, would be the side where I believe the amphitheater is at, and where they also shot some scenes from the movie The Fault in Our Stars. Also, the west side of the park is where Edith Flynn lived at, and she was the sister of the benefactor of the park, Mary Flynn Lawrence. Now, just over here on our right-hand side, we can see the entrance to somebody's private estate. But I was going to mention it is to our left, which is to our north, where Hartwood Acres Park is at. Actually, just to the immediate north of us here is the Holedale Farm. And then just to the north of that is where we would find Hartwood Acres. Also up ahead and to our north, there are some very nice luxury housing just to the south of Hartwood Acres. Now, about the park, it was deeded to Allegheny County by Mary Flynn Lawrence. Remember here that Pennsylvania State Route 8 is named for William Flynn. He was a powerful political boss and construction magnate in the late 19th and early 20th century. And Mary Flynn Lawrence and Edith Flynn Patterson were his daughters. Edith's home, like I said, was on the western side, and this was called Harkaway Farm. Most of the land belonged to Mary Flynn Lawrence and her husband, John Lawrence. She deeded the park to Allegheny County in 1969, with the stipulation she'd be allowed to continue living there for the rest of her life, and unfortunately she would pass away on October 29, 1974, and the park was opened to the public in 1976. Besides The Fault in Our Stars, the park was also used in the TV movie The Christmas Tree, directed by Sally Field, and some scenes from the 2006 film 10th and Wolf were filmed at the Hartwood Mansion's Great Hall. The Hartwood Mansion, by the way, belonged to Mary Flynn Lawrence and her husband. And now we have reached Indiana Township, and right up ahead is the intersection with Saxonburg Road, and a left turn here will take us to the eastern entrance, or the Indiana Township entrance to the park. And that's the side of the park, by the way, where the mansion is at.